there
I'm
without
I'm I'm
giving some love.
I'm stepping on toes. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna step on his toes because how are we gonna go through the NBA playoffs and not talk about Ice Trae Young and what
Ooh.
he did against that number one team? And no, we got to talk about that. I'm sorry.
All right, we'll
We
talk
we
about Trae
do.
Young real quick. We'll talk about Trae Young real quick.
We're
Is
gonna talk
Trae?
about we're gonna talk about Trae Young, and we also gonna talk about Ben Simmons. We're gonna talk about it. I'm sorry,
All right, so
but
Yeah, we kind of need to. Yeah.
we
okay,
got to
so
talk about that.
we'll get to baseball sticky situation shortly. Scotty D, thanks for covering the NHL recap for me real quick. Trae Young, he took a bite out of the Big Apple and he ate a whole Philly cheesesteak sandwich. You can't. Somebody asked me the other day at work. They said, Ed, who would you want to build a team around? Like between like Luka, between Devin Booker and Trae Young, who would you pick? I said to myself, give me Trae Young. Give me Trae Young because in the face of adversity, he does what it does almost effortlessly. Scotty D, what you think about Trae Young?
I think the kid's an up and coming star, and he's playing very poised and mature. He's almost playing like a veteran who's been there before. Much credit to him and that Hawks team for knocking off the 76ers, but the 76ers helped them. What was it, game 5? The 76ers blew, what was it, a 26-point lead?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and that was at home. You can't do that. You cannot do that. And then what you play all season for is to have home field, home court, home ice, and they had home court. And the game 7, it was theirs for the taking, and they didn't get it done there. And as B-Live said, we got to talk about Ben Simmons because he's taking a ton of heat. But a lot of that heat is getting deflected off of Doc Rivers, who is showing some futility in postseason. And I didn't realize this. I got looked at ESPN article the other day. Don't forget, these guys, as head coach of the Clippers, they blew a 3-1 lead last year in the bubble against the Nuggets. 2015, the Clippers blew a 3-1 lead against the Rockets. He had a chance to close out. The Heat, as the coach of the Celtics in 2012, didn't get that done, and had a chance to beat the Lakers up 3-2 in 2010, and the Lakers won the last 2 games to win the finals. Doc Rivers, man, I think he's a nice guy, and a lot of people really like him. But, man, I mean, he was brought there to get this team over the hump. And, you know, maybe him playing Ben Simmons in certain situations was detrimental to that team because Ben Simmons didn't get it done, B-Live. He looked bad out there, didn't he?
Man, let's talk about a couple things. First of all, I want to start off like I said, I want to change the narrative because we spend a lot of time saying what teams didn't do, even though they're favoring everything and how they dropped the ball. I don't know about y'all, but 2 of the most difficult places to play when it comes to playoff basketball, one is New York and Philadelphia.
Philly booed Santa Claus. I'm just saying. They booed Santa Claus.
The fan bases in those 2 cities are the Knicks, especially because they haven't been there in forever. And Trae Young walked into both of those situations on their home court and hushed the crowd. Man, Trae Young, dude, I'm just saying, like, I'm curious to see. I still think Milwaukee, with the emergence of what I like to call not a big 3, but a medium 3. A medium 3. I'm gonna go with a medium 3, not a big 3, not a super team, but Antetokounmpo, Middleton, and Holiday. Them boys can ball. So it's one of those things. Can Trae Young? I'm gonna tell you right now. If I'm the Bucks, I'm picking him up at half court. I'm smothering him just like they smothered Steph Curry in the play-in tournament. I'm doing the same exact thing to Trae Young.
They probably will. Similar style player, perimeter guy.
Somebody's gonna have to beat me on the Hawks besides Trae Young.
Yep.
But now to the elephant that's in the room.
Uh-oh.
When it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers, when it comes to Ben Simmons, when it comes to Doc Rivers. I'm gonna start with Doc Rivers. Because Scotty D, thank you for pointing out every single one of those series. And the fact that Doc Rivers is a nice guy. Nice guys finish last. You've got to make executive decisions on that court. And at the end of the day, some feelings are going to get hurt. The fact that Ben Simmons, just 33% from the free throw line. And if you ever get a chance to check out our Instagram, check us out on Facebook and everything. I just put out a video of what I call one of the most bone-headed plays I've ever seen in my entire life. Me and Eddie Cool just recently talked about it, is the fact that Ben Simmons' mind game was completely gone to the point where he didn't even want to put up a shot in the fear that he was going to get fouled and miss.
He's terrified to go to the line.
He's terrified. He is shell-shocked, and it's clear as day when you give up a wide-open dunk.
A gimme.
To pass the ball to somebody that they recover and double team, literally, he's almost to the point where he'll get the treatment of where if he's dribbling the ball up the court, we're leaving him wide open at the 3-point line.
Right there, he could have dunked it. He's
he's
about
across
10
the board.
feet tall. He could have dunked it.
Yeah, across the board, nobody needs to guard him, and it was plain as sight. And Doc Rivers, being the nice guy that he is, kept trying to back him. And it's a tough situation for a coach, because you don't want to completely take one of your star players and take his confidence all the way away. But at the same note, you could clearly see his confidence was shot to begin with, and it was detrimental to the team. Joel Embiid, man, he played lights out, triple-double, did everything he possibly could to will this team to victory. But at the end of the day, Ben Simmons was the ultimate liability, even so much to the point where at the post-game conference, Ben Simmons felt them tire tracks from that buzz that Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers threw him under. Joel Embiid said the turning point of that game was where Ben Simmons,
that play you were talking about.
That was Vince and Joel Embiid did not mince words. He did not hold back at all. And then Doc Rivers was like, well, we're going to have to reevaluate. But once you got to reevaluate something that you should have been evaluating, you just threw him under the bus. And Ben Simmons has got a long way of recovery from this.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of evaluating. This is his fourth year in the league, and he's not better than he was in the first year. Keep in mind, this is a kid in college who played 1 year of college. Everyone said how dominant he was, and they didn't even get to the tournament. LSU didn't go to the tournament the year that he was there, and they take 68 teams. So he couldn't do that. He had a lot of room for growth, and you allow that the first couple of years. But even some of the greatest players in history, Magic Johnson, Karl Malone, LeBron, all three of those guys all struggled at the free throw line early in their career and made it a point to get better and better and better. And he's getting worse, and he can't shoot. A basketball player can't shoot in a league that is completely evolving to the outside shot. This guy can't shoot. They're saying, we have a game plan in place for this guy, but the game plan should have been to get his butt off the court during this past series, and maybe they'd be still playing, because the kid is not improving, and it became very painfully apparent that was the case here in this past series.
Yeah, come the off season, man, Philly got some work to do as far as figuring out what they're gonna do with Ben Simmons, man. I've been looking all over social media, and everybody already has like their trade predictors and everything, and it's just I don't know, man.
But who's gonna want to trade for him right now? His trade value is gonna be super low right now. You're not getting first round picks back for this kid at this point. They have to fix him because they have time and money invested in him. This team is built around him and Embiid. That's the team. And then, Tobias Harris has been a nice complimentary player and can shoot. But this kid has to get better, especially from the free throw line. When you're the point guard, when you're handling the ball on every play, running the offense, you have to at times take it upon yourself and get it to the hole and get fouled. That's why I give Giannis some credit, because this guy's been very bad from the free throw line. But you watch this last series, he was going at it. He was taking his free throws. He was still getting to the line. He was still attacking the rim. much credit to him for that. I mean, but this kid didn't want any part of the free throw line. I don't think he scored in the fourth quarter in the last couple games, did he? If I'm not mistaken, I don't think in the last few games he didn't even score in the fourth quarter. He didn't want to shoot. He can't shoot. They got a lot of work to do, but
yeah. And I'm gonna throw this in here just to add insult to injury. He did just sign a contract for 5 years, $177 million.
So they got to fix him. They got to fix him.
They got to fix him. Who's gonna pick that? Who's gonna pick that contract up with what we just saw?
Anybody with good sense would not touch him. But you got to figure something out, Ben Simmons. It's just, I'm pretty sure Ben's a nice person, but as a player standpoint, it's like, I don't know, man. So Philly got to figure out something real quick. And speaking of figuring something out real quick, we finally get to a baseball sticky situation, all right?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
All right, so in case you've been under a rock or just haven't been paying attention, or just frankly don't give a damn, no-hitters have been at an all-time high. Where are we at, fellas, this year? Like, what, 5, 6? Like 6 no-hitters already?
6 is the record. They've already tied the record.
Yeah, they've tied the record.
In a season. In a full season.
In a full season.
We're in the latter part of June. We still got July, August, and September for somebody to throw a no-hitter and break the record.
Yeah, I think by the season's end, we probably get anywhere between 8 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. So here's what it is. Recently, that raised the question, like, what's been going on with the pitcher? So they've been using substances such as Spider Tack, which is an industrial adhesive. I think they use it to pick up rocks or something like that. And the combination of rosin, sweat, sunscreen, pine tar, and everything. Because I don't know if you guys ever seen like the side of a Aroldis Chapman's neck. There's a little smudge or something there, or they'll go to the hat and do something there, or they'll play with some dirt or whatnot. Normally you play with dirt and sweat and everything, you be good, cool, fine, and dandy. But in this case, it's a little bit more. So now baseball decides they want to do something about it in the middle of the season, and it goes like this. If caught, players will be ejected and suspended 10 games with pay. Yeah, with pay. All right, so it goes like this. Starting and relief pitchers as well as catchers are subject to routine inspections from the umpires, excuse me, throughout the game. That's courtesy of ESPN and Major League Baseball. Yeah, so they're subject to that. So if you get caught, there's 10 games, you out of here, and you'll get, if there's any suspicion, hey, we gotta see what's going on with you. Fellas, what kind of shady shenanigans is going on with baseball? Scotty D, I'll start with you first.
Well, baseball has a history of the unwritten rules and policing themselves. And this is honestly a case of them taking things too far because everybody has known on both sides that these players the pitchers are using something, whether it's sunblock, whatever. Now it's getting to an extreme, and managers before very rarely would they challenge an umpire to check another pitcher, unless it was something like they thought they had like an emery board or scuffing the baseballs, that type of thing. Very rarely have they done anything about it because they know their own pitcher is using it. It was kind of accepted, but now when we see how dominant these pitches are becoming and the spin rates off the chart, it's going a little crazy. So now they're going to be subject to not being able to do anything at all. And you got a guy like Tyler Glass now who injured his elbow last week. It's going to require surgery, I think. And he's blaming baseball. It's their fault for not letting me cheat anymore. Oh, man, what a bad look that is. Because baseball has a history of being cheaters from the beginning of time, whether it's corking bats, scuffing baseballs, using substances on baseballs, steroids, smacking trash cans, looking at cameras, stealing signals. There's always cheating in baseball. It's the dirtiest sport there is. And now when they're cracking down on it, you got a guy actually coming out and being mad that you're not allowed to cheat. My elbow hurts and it's your fault, baseball. It's not my fault for cheating and using stuff that's making me better than I've ever been in my career before. No, it's baseball's fault. How sad is that? I kind of like, and B-Live, I think you saw what Garrett Cole was saying. He was a little bit more sane about it, where he's saying, baseball, let's talk about this. Talk to us, because, there are times especially in colder weather, where the baseball gets a little bit slick and it's harder to grip them. And the batters probably would rather the pitchers have a little something to control the ball rather than wing one up into their face. So Garrett Cole was a little bit more, I think, rational in his approach. B-Live, did you see what he said about that? Did you see any of that?
I did see that, but here's the inherent problem with this whole argument that you already, and Scotty, you already lean toward it. This is not something new. This has always been a rule, and now, because it's one of those things, you give somebody an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you knew this was a rule. Let me put it to my East Coast family. If we have listeners on the West Coast or overseas, you might not get this reference. But everybody that's ever been driving on Interstate 95 knows there's a particular place on Interstate 95 that you do not speed. Fellas, do y'all know where that's at?
Off the top,
no, but please tell me so I can write it down.
I kind of got an idea.
It is the first 20 miles heading north, or the last 20 miles heading south, before or after the North Carolina-Virginia border.
Okay.
They will have cops on top of cops out there ready for you to, if you go anywhere, if you put a toll past 60 miles an hour, you're getting pulled over. You know that it's a rule. You know what? I'm going to take it a step further. Let me put it to you this way. I'm going to go a little personal with my own life. It's like me knowing good and well I done had me some drinks, and I get behind the wheel, and there's a DUI checkpoint up the road. That'd be just like me getting mad at the cops because the cops didn't tell me that they were going to have a DUI checkpoint. And I'm gonna and now I get in trouble. I'm gonna get mad at the cops. I knew the rule. I know the law. Come on, man. I was born when they get to crying about that. It was a rule. It's been a rule. Just because you hadn't been caught yet, now because they're cracking down on it and it's inconvenient for you. Guess what? If you had been cheating for so long, it wouldn't be inconvenient, man.
Do better.
It's exactly. Like, I could not believe the outrage of the players. And then I'm starting to hear the four-letter network and then hearing some analysts, they're starting to side toward the players. You're worse. You're feeding into what baseball's been doing a long time. They've been cheating ever since the beginning of time, dating back to the early 1900s with the Black Sox scandal. And they've been cheating all throughout the past 120 some odd years. They've been cheating. Like, how long have you been using resin and foreign substance? How long have you been using it? It's unbelievable.
The rosin bag is what that's what it's there for. And like I said, it was accepted that these guys would take a little pine tar and put it on their forearm and then dab on that for a little, to better grip it. But I guess it doesn't give. I guess it does. Rosin bag and a lick of the fingers, I would think would be enough. But that's the problem. Even using a little bit of pine when and a little bit of sweat and sunscreen, that wasn't good enough. They had to get into the spider tack and this other stuff. Heck, you remember Michael Pineda a few years ago? He had, when he was pitching for the Yankees, he had like pine tar all up and down his neck.
Yeah.
They didn't have any choice but to challenge and say that's pretty bad. His neck was shining all over national TV, and so he got sat down for 10 games. But that's going to be the norm now. Now you're not going to be able to get away with what you were getting away with before because umpires are checking. And I'm sure there's nobody more unhappy about this than the umpires because they already got enough to deal with on their plate. Now you're putting more responsibility on them to have to check these guys coming off the field or relievers in the ninth inning. They have to check them coming onto the field. So it's another mess for baseball, but it's right in line with baseball.
And the thing is, the game already runs long as it is. It already runs long as it is. So now we got to make sure you're not using pine tar and spider tack and all this other stuff. And it's like, I mean, I watched both videos with Tyler Glass now, and he was, he's like, well, I was on my way to an all-star campaign, and he throws like straight gas, 100 miles an hour anyway. So, when you throw 100 miles an hour, then, something's going to snap, something's going to pop, but, you need that grip, and you got to grip the ball further back and everything. And so, and then Garrett Cole, when the reporter said, hey, do you use Spider Tack? Garrett Cole was like, I don't know how he was like, I don't know how to answer that. But as a member of the such and such committee, we have a conversation about it. I'm just over here like, hey, man, you do, you don't. And, some players are up in arms. Oh, they want to change the rule in the middle of the season. It's like, well, you better figure something out. You better figure something out quick, fast, in a hurry. But before we move on to the next topic, fellas, I saw a very interesting video involving he's now a color analyst for the Atlanta Braves. Be like Peter Moylan, the Aussie. Peter Moylan, you may remember him, and he's telling the story about how his stats went from 2006 to 2010, and then when he stopped cold turkey using it, it dipped down, and then he went to the minors and it dipped down again. I guess he started, using the stuff again, and he was back to normal. And so, yeah, that's a very interesting video that he was telling us about it. So probably what I'll do for our listeners and our viewers, if you're viewing us, I'll put it in the description box, and the listeners, I'll also put it into the description box as well too. So yeah, cheater, pumpkin eater, just don't do no more cheating.